Okay, welcome. I would like to introduce Dr. Madeline Camara. Dr. Camara studied at the University of Havana, Colegio de Mexico, and SUNY at Stony Brook. She's a professor of Latin American literature at the University of South Florida. Her latest book, Imagining a Matriarch, published by Palgrave Macmillan in 2008, covers some of her research in Cuban women writers. Other publications, Vocación de Cassandra, Cuba, The Elusive Nation, and Memoria Hechizada. Other areas of interest of her research include women's studies and cultural studies. From this area is today's presentation, written on a woman's body, rereading Cuban nationalist discourse through the images of the mulata in popular culture. So with that, please join me to welcome Dr. Camara. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the warm welcome, and thank you to all the professors that have been collaborating in this project that my former student Carolina has been putting together since, I think, a month. She's been working very hard, and it's a pleasure being a professor to know that somebody has doing so well. Believe me that this is one of the greatest pleasures in this business, to see one of my students doing so well. And this is a pleasure that I hope that all the professors in this university share with me. You know, to educate, this is more than give you instruction. Education is bigger word. So saying that and saying my really pleasure to be here to share with you some of my research. Let me talk a little bit about the research as a whole, and later on we're going to get more academic and sit down and read and do the whole thing. Let me just warm a little bit this presentation and let you know what I've been doing. My latest book is about Cuban women writings. So my latest research has been dedicated to writing, not to cultural studies. This is what we're going to see today is more a cultural studies research. But my latest book has been related to writing. You know, writing is part of what we call cultural studies, but have a different way of approach. So if you have any question at all about Cuban literature, I would be very happy to cover also and to answer those questions. This is even my main field of specialization. But why I wanted today to present my second hat, my second field. Carolina was telling me that you, my audience today, is meaning all of you come from different fields, from different, different disciplines. So the history student, literature student, you also are related with different fields, not only Latin American, as I understand. So knowing that, I felt that it's more appealing to you to give the talk about this subject that covers more, subject that you could be related with. So this is the idea of giving you the talk about the mulatto woman is just to cover a more interdisciplinary audience that I think is the audience that I have today. I will present image. I will present image, pictures. I will present also a little bit of a zarzuela. I don't know if you're familiar with the zarzuela is. I will talk a little bit about this. Finally, I will present, if the time allows us to do it, I will present a fragment of the film, and the very end is a conga. Who knows what is a conga? You know what is a conga? You seem to know what is a conga. You know what it is? Okay, where the conga goes? The conga goes with Carnival. So everybody knows what is Carnival. Even Mardi Gras was 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So la conga is a Cuban music that we, in Cuba, we Cubans are very proud of having this mixture with African culture, and the conga is one of those dances that are very popular in Cuba, and you will see at the end a conga in Santiago de Cuba, the more oriental part of the island, part of the carnival, and you will see Caridad del Cobre, our patrona, our Virge, our protector of Cuban. You will see Caridad del Cobre in her double function of Caridad del Cobre and Ochun. So I'm very happy that we have also a teacher here professor from, the teach also the African culture, because you will see how much is in African culture alive in this bisemic symbol that is Caridad del Cobre and Ochun. So we will close with this little homage to Ochun. So let's start talking a little bit about what is my presentation. So I don't know if you are fine with me with this. I just need to move to be to be comfortable. The title, Reading of a Woman's Body. Well, as I have to be holding this. Okay, let me be aware about this. I come from an Iceland. I'm a Cuban. I'm a Cuban. You know, coming from an Iceland, people like definitions. You will probably see the opposite. You will see, no. People coming from an island are surrounded by waters, are surrounded by the sea, by the ocean. No. They are just infinite, explosive. It's not true. Probably it's the vision of the people on the side, thinking that we people from the island, we just wanted to let it go. It's just the opposite, believe me. People from the island want definitions because we don't have borders. We are just exposed, even if you think on the, the beginning of the trade, on the slave trade, Cuban is open to, to el comercio con Sevilla, all this, so Cuba always has been open. So that's why we Cuban people are always looking for definition. But at the same time, those definitions are elusive. That's what I say in my book, Cuba, the Elusive Nation. Those definitions have to be elusive, have to be flexible. You know what I'm saying? Try to be flexible because Cuban identity is a very mixed identity. It's a very flexible identity, has been changing from 19th century to now. It's even going to change more. Believe me, I'm sure, I'm positive that it's going to change more in this very century because there are political change coming that will again open the island to the world. So I think that's the first thing you need to know. We are hambrientos de definiciones. We need to have definitions. So that's why my books is always about definition. Imagining a matria. I propose a matria instead of a patria. I always trying to look for definition, but alternative definition. So my book is about the matria, not about the patria. So what is this research about? This research is about rereading Cuban nationalist discourse through the image of the mulata in popular culture, but of the image of the mulata in the woman's body, not in the voice. One of my thesis in this work is that the mulata don't have a voice, but the mulata have a body, and you can talk with your body. Women are used to talk with their bodies. In Cuban culture, the mulatto women have been repressed, as I want to explain later, but the body is still talking, and we need to listen what this body is saying. In Cuban cultural history, we have four names that have to be very much, we'll say, very much listening, very, very important names in what is defining Cuban identities. Those names are José Antonio Portuondo. Portuondo is a Marxist. So Portuondo is very interesting in history. It's have a wonderful, production in placing Cuban history in the Marxist perspective. And this is one of the heritage I'm taking over. I'm coming from Cuba all my life, being in a communist state, how I cannot be able to read Marxism. This is part of me. So I'm reading, of course, Portuondo, first of all. Second, I'm reading Cintio Vitier. Cintio Vitier is a great poet. Cintio Vitier is, I don't know if you're more familiar probably with José Lezama Lima, that ring a bell. José Lezama Lima, one of the father of the Cuban culture, was Cintio Vitier and José Lezama Lima are part of Grupo Orígenes, very important group in Cuban culture. And what Vitier gives to me is poetry. So I'm taking history for Portuondo, I'm taking poetry for Vitier and incorporating all this in my research. Later, I realized that I need more. I need Severo Sarduy. I don't know if you're familiar with Severo Sarduy's name. Severo Sarduy died, I think it's 10 years ago, something like that, in France. He went up to the island. He's part of the exile. And his work on Cuban definition is more about bodies. His book, Escrito sobre un Cuerpo, I am paying homage to him when I entitled my research, Reading on a Woman Body. Su libro, Escrito sobre un Cuerpo, is about Cuban identity through bodies. He is also worked with tattoos. You know, wonderful, wonderful research. Sardou is really very interesting. And I take him from Sardou, the bodies, as a place to read identity. Finally, and well, I would probably say it before, I also took a lot from Fernando Ortiz. Fernando Ortiz, probably you heard about Fernando Ortiz. Fernando Ortiz is being called the father of anthropologists in Cuban history because he was the first who examined the mix of, you know, Spanish identity and Afro identity in Cuban culture. So Portuondo, Bitier, Sarduy, and Ortiz. Those four names, men's, all father, all great people, great books. Those are part of my research and the books that I am talking to. You need to talk. When you do research, what you're doing is searching a dialogue. So that's why today when I finish, you need to talk to me. Because it's not, we're going to go to Tampa and say, well, so this is not worthy to come. So I need to hear from you. I need to talk to you. That's part of what is research. So I was reading those books and I was saying, what the Mulata women have no voice, what are you going to do? So I start reading about this topic and I find a great book, a book that is, I think I have to say that is the, preceding or the antecedente of my research is Cuban Sugar Secrets for Vera Kuczynski. This is a book that also deals with marquillas de tobacco. That's what you're going to see. So my research also, you know, follow what Vera Kuczynski have done on marquillas de tobacco. I use different marquillas just to make it different from her research, but that was the first book that tried to follow the mulatto woman in the pictures, the first picture that you're going to see. So before you're going to see those images, I wanted to okay, I'm going to show you this. This is the structure of my project. As you hear me, you say, well, she's looking for the mulatto woman, she's looking for the mulatto bodies, but where? That's the problem. We were discussing today with Professor Copitari and Professor Marixa, and we're talking about the importance of finding frames for your doing research. Those are my 4 frames. Because without those frames, I would be lost. I would be looking for any film that you can say, for any music that you could suggest, for any photo, for any, you know, any literature work that you could suggest me. So what are my friends? My friends are La Plaza, the squares. This is something that you could find in Cecilia Valdez, that you will find the marquillas that I'm going to show you. Marquillas are cigar labels. You know, that's one thing that you're going to see. But I'm looking for, the frame is the square. Thinking conceptually speaking, that's my frame. I'm only looking for women that appear on this frame. Of course, what is the reason of this frames? That would take me a lot to explain what La Plaza is so important, but I just write this line. I think you can understand. In La Plaza, men's, you know, white men's and mulatto women could mix together, could talk, could approach, and probably you even had erotic encounters. So that's why La Plaza is a place of mestizaje, open side of mestizaje. And this is related very much to the 19th century in Cuba, in colonial times. So my second frame is, you know, is going further in time. My second frame is the solar. I don't know in English we have a word, I say marginal vicinity. That probably is the best translation. You could help me with that, marginal vicinity. You know, the solar is a place, fortunately we don't have so much in here, but in Brazil, for example, you find la favela. You know, it's kind of a solar, la favela brasileña. I don't know in Mexico, what we say in Mexico, Marixa, for a solar, something that is outside the urban. You know, it's in the city, it's something that is outside the city, something that, you know, all these marginal people have to live there because they have no resources to share and to live with the white people, with the people that are really wealthy. So my second place is the solar, because this is where the mulatto woman goes with modernization. Modern time, 19th century is over, but still the mulatto woman is part of this segregated population in Cuba. My third place is El Malecón. I suppose that everybody that have heard about Cuba knows what is El Malecón. El Malecón is for me a very symbolic place. Of course, it's a wonderful place to see the sunset. Everybody have to go and see the sunset in Cuba, you know, el atardecer, I miss that a lot. But the reason the Malecón is in here, because it's a symbolic, a symbolic space, place of intersection. Intersection of what? Of decadencia y tolerancia. I wanted to say in Spanish. Decadencia y tolerancia. That's what generates what I call Habanero socialist way of life post-Berlin. We find both decadencia and tolerancia. So we're going to explain that if we have time, because this part of the research, I put it apart. I was under the pressure that probably whatever is related to this is going to take all the questions. So I take it apart. It's there. If you want to question about this, we're going to go back and talk about this. But it's not in my first part of the presentation because I wanted to give the whole picture. And later we could talk about more about the jinetera and all this that is a very, you know, a very suggestive topic. And the fourth space is the only one that I've been not doing enough. I need to come back to my own country. I've been out of Cuba for 16 years now. And I don't know if I'm right saying that the waters are the place of salvation. This is an impression I have, being a Cuban, being born in Regla, a town very close to the sea. I always see everybody going to the sea to pray for everything, to pray, thank you. To pray, you know, to beg, Oshun, to beg to Caridad del Cobre, to Jesus Christ, to whatever you believe in. So this is water. Why? Again, because we are an island. So my fourth frame is the waters. So what type of materials I use in those frames? Now you understand more or less what is the idea of the frame. And this frame is the latest because this frame is the one that allow me to cross the Florida Strait and go to Miami. In this frame, I'm going to search for La Mulata also in Miami. That's the final part of the project. What is now the representation of the mulatto woman in the other part of the island? Miami is not only Miami, it's also Cuban. It's part of Cubanness. So that's why this has to be this water. It's not fixed, it's something in between. That's why the water has to be the closing frame, the supposed closing frame. So what materials I use? Here I use cigar label. Here I use zarzuelas. You're going to see now this. Here I use photos. I use photos because I think the photo is what you cannot move. You have the stereotype. The photo captures a stereotype, pure stereotype. And I think this is one of the part that I feel that is more the weight of a stereotype in the frames. And finally, I use films. For these 4 frames, I use film. I'm going to see how much we can, you know, I think we're going to just see today the first frame and the third frame because of the time. Let me check on the time and see. Okay, so let's start now with the first frame that are the marquillas. Okay. Here you see a cigar label. The cigar label is, well, it's something that is used to give some kind of information about the producer of the tobacco, or the cigar. But it's mostly a way to appeal to some kind of consumer. The label is an appeal to the consumer. It's talking to the consumer. So here you see, probably this is the Port of Havana. This is done, well, who painted that? That's still an interrogation. Some of the scholars that have been doing research of this, they say that those engravings could belong to Patricio Landaluz. It's very questionable. We don't know. Vera Kuczynski don't say anything about that. I'm been comparing, you know, labels with engravings of Landaluz. We find very, very similar traits, but Landaluz do not sign those. Why? Because Landaluz is a fine painter. You don't need to sign. to sign those kind of commercial labels. So it's very obvious that Landalus don't want to sign those, commercial type of engravings. So, but this probably the work of Landalus, very probably. This is what the status of the researchers. Most of the people say probably Landalus was the creator of those engravings. But let's see, what do you see here? You see the port of Havana, the Bay of Havana, the port, all this, people moving around the port, and you see even this could be a sailor, it's a white man, and you see the mulatto woman here. What is happening? How we translate that? Well, I prefer to not translate it because it's very difficult. It's as a play of word that is very erotic, it's very sexual. What is say that is a language that is very much tricky. Is any of you have a translation for this? Any of the Spanish students? Any other? What could you suggest? Suggestions? What do you think? Everybody get an idea of what means poner los medios para conseguir los fines in that context? No? Men, women? To pay for sex. To pay for sex. So this is, but the controversy in this, what is interesting for me is that you could be paying for sex and you could be paying for fruit. But if you pay, this is more interesting because it's not obvious. And this is what I like on this, that is not the obvious jinetera. This is more, intriguing. What are you paying for? Fruit or sex? But what is this all the same? What is the body of the woman is like a fruit. You could take it. You could pay for it. See, that's what is intriguing to me. That's what is my point. The body of the woman is natural. You could pay for it. You could take it. It's for exchange for money. So let's see the second image. Oh, something very important. Please see, all this is called captions. Los estribillos, los captions will say, who's talking? Who is the narrator in this caption? First person, second person, third person? Third person at least. It's not first person. It's una tercera persona, see? You understand what I'm saying? So it's not the mulatto woman. Probably it's not even him saying that. So this is an impersonal enunciation. It's un enunciado impersonal that makes this even worse. Because meaning that is taking for granted that this is the way it is. And this is very important. Who is talking? In this engraving, this is just costumbre, la costumbre. That's the way it's being doing in Cuba. So let's find the other, okay. Oh, yes, okay.
When is this from? This is, these things are used now?
Oh, no, 19th century. 19th century. We're dealing here with 19th century, the first frame that I don't know, I'm going too fast? No, it's okay, I'm going, no, not too fast because I wanted to show the whole thing, so just trying to push a little bit the time. So let's go to the second, this is 19th century. Okay, where are we now? Inside, outside, this is interior, exterior. What do you think? It's a place like this, it's an interior place. So I'm very interested in that, in the changing of location. What is exterior, what is interior? What is this? What is this to you? What suggests this image to you? A party. Okay, it's a party. It's a party, and it's a party. It's a very special type of party. This party is called bailes de cuna. Bailes de cuna. No translation for that, because cuna is when you have the baby. So bailes de cuna is, I only could say you what it is. Bailes de cuna is a dance that is offered for, mostly for women that have a lot of money, women that have, had you seen this, let me see an American example of this. I don't have one. Anyway, those women that are not exactly prostitute, but have some money and they can offer those dance in their house and people could come and mix and probably they get together and they continue the relation, etc. This is the type of bailes de cuna, something that is an invitation for putting people together. But what type of people? See, this is a mulata blanconaza. Very interesting. Las mulatas in Cuba have different skin. They could be, you know, lighter. They could be more darker. This is a lighter one. So it's a mulata blanconaza. And we have a man. We don't see the face of the man. Very interesting in this case. We don't see the face of the man. But probably is a very healthy man. You know, those people that have money are the people who comes to this place to look for women. And he is just inviting her. We don't know to what. But if we read what he's saying here, it's even more difficult to translate. What do you think? I don't know how to translate this. No, this. Amarillo, suénamelo pintón. I'm embarrassed to tell you what the translation could be. Amarillo, suénamelo pintón. So I prefer that the sound of my voice give you an idea. But let me tell you that we're still in the same type of reading. Is the metaphor with the fruit. You see the fruit, a fruit could be amarilla. Let's see about something that is tropical here. Give me an example of tropical fruit here. Mango. Okay, the mango, when it's amarillo, it's good. But when it's really red, it's better, no? When it's green, you don't want to take it, okay? So this is what it's saying here. It's more or less. Could you follow me? This is what it is about. This is about amarillo, but better pintón. I say like a mango, if it's yellow, it's okay, but I prefer it maduro, completely mûr. I want you to be mûr. That's what the man is saying to her. Again, this is an invitation to be open to him, to be open on his invitation for sex. But again, the metaphor of comparing the woman with the fruit, the woman is available. So you have a question, comment?
Yeah, it's a comment. For example, in Puerto Rico, amarillo is the plantain, the big one, not the banana, the big plantain, mature, like yellow, and that kind of fruits will become with stains, like pintón, like amarillo pintón will be a mature plantain with some stains.
Okay, but pintón for you in Puerto Rico is something more tasty?
Actually, when you get the banana, like with the brown stains, it's the same. So
it's the same.
But we call amarillo the big.
Oh, okay, I understand. For you, it's used as a sustantivo, as a name, not as an adjective. Yeah. Okay, no. In this case, not a name, it's an adjective. That's why we're talking here about qualification of the position of the woman. Amarillo is fine, but I prefer you pintona. You have to be pintona for me. That's what my interpretation, but I'm still, searching for interpretation. I'm open to commentary. So let's see another one. Well, where we are now? Where are we now? What is this? What do you think is this? I'm sorry if the image are not so good, but I have to take it from a book from, all the. A street is a street, but it's a corner. You see, it's a corner. You see, it's not a square. It's more than a corner. Una esquina, you see? Square, okay? I picked that for two reasons. I picked that because, again, corner in Cuban, I think in Caribbean, I think in Latin American culture, I think so, I don't know, in other culture. But we Cubans have a, te veo en la esquina, I see you in the corner. I see you in the corner, it's a place exactly where you encounter people. It's a very way to see you there in the corner. So I like that because it's a place where you want to be, for the markets, you want to be exhibit, you want to exhibit your body, you go to the corner because you will find people in the corner. So, but now this is the interesting here. There are two women. What is interesting in seeing two women in this position? What do you think? What do you think it could be provocative or could be suggestive? Instead of one woman, we're seeing two. And what it's saying here, again, difficult to translate, descuidos del tocador. Tocador in Spanish is, it's not a toilet. How do you translate tocador? It's like a, it's What do you say?
Like vanity.
Exactly, the vanity. Yes, some place where you're gonna, you're gonna retouch yourself, do your makeup, etc. But descuidos is something that is a negligence. You need to, to dress yourself to do something, and this is a descuido. She's just doing that because she's just having a moment of descuido. So she's showing her legs. But what is doing her? The other woman. What do you think she's doing? Watching for her. She's helping her. She's watching for her. She's jealous. She's helping. What is the position? In what position they are placed? One, let's say? Procurance, okay. What do you think? It's a complicity between them. It's a complicity. Could we say it's a complicity? You think so?
Yeah, I think.
You think so? Well, this is my impression. There is a complicity here. I'm not sure exactly. She's watching her back because probably the policeman is coming. You will see the man is coming. But whatever it is, this hand is giving her confidence. I'm here for you. Okay? This is a complicity between women. She probably is an older woman. She is covered. She probably is an older, you see, and she's explicitly showing her body, and she probably is younger. So this is a topic, very interesting topic in Cuban literature and in the relation between the black woman and the mulatto woman. One is covered for the other. I cannot go further in that, but I'm very interested in that relation of complicity between women. And finally, I have two more, but let's see. Okay, the man is coming. She was right. The police is coming for the mulatto. El Castigo. Everybody knows what El Castigo is. Okay? We know. El Castigo is there. La mulata va a ser castigada. Even this series, the complete series, is called Life and Death of the Mulata. Life and Death of the Mulata. That's the whole series. Oh, I think you see there. Life and Death of the Mulata. And now death is coming because the policeman is taking her. Why is taking her? I cannot go into this too much, but prostitution was not totally permitted. Was kind of, there was in the street prostitution, but if it's explicit, they could take the woman, you would see where. But there is a very interesting part about prostitution in Cuba in the 19th century. The problem is black women were taken for prostitute, and so the mulatto population was increasing because of this mix. And what the Spaniards did, they brought Spaniard women to Cuba from Andalusia, and they put it in places, in prostíbulos, so that if the Spaniard men want to go out and have sex, they have it with the Spaniard women. So the black population or the mulatto population was not so high. It's very interesting that when you see the rate of the population of the prostíbulos, there was increasing rates of women from Spain explicitly taken from Spain to put in those places because they need that, the bodies are not, the Spaniard government was concerned about this mestizaje going on. But anyway, the mulatto woman is taken. So where did she go? Here we see las consecuencias, the consequence of what? The consequence of her behavior, the consequence of prostitution, the consequence of mestizaje, okay? And so the woman is in a place that is an enclosure. She's repressed. She cannot go out. She cannot go to the corner. She cannot go to the party. She cannot go to the square. She is in a shelter that could be, say, a hospice shelter. I don't know exactly. In Cuba, we call that casa de recogidas. La casa de recogidas. Taking women from the street that goes to la casa de las recogidas. Who take care of that? Nuns, religions, charity organization, but those women cannot go out. If you have been reading Cecilia Valdés, I don't know if Cecilia Valdés has been part of your syllabus or your study, you will realize that this is a very, very, very close to the story of Cecilia Valdés. Cecilia Valdés is the more important novel for 19th century Cuban. So this is a a fallout of Cecilia Valdez, or Cecilia Valdez a fallout of that. So it's really the same story with different situation, different character, but this is the story. You know, prostitution, punishment, consequence, and the consequence is seclusion. This woman, this body is not out, it's dangerous. We cannot deal with this body. This body has to be repressed. Okay, so this is what is more or less my factual, my physical, you know, sources. So, okay, we do not have time to read. I think if I start reading now, it will be probably a waste of my time. But this is the chapter of the book, Cuba, the Losing Nation, where I deal with this more conceptually speaking. And I probably will take up one paragraph or two. I'm sorry to you guys, but this is very difficult for me. Okay, well, the main thesis here, my thesis as a feminist, in my studies, I did have a lot of, in my formation, I did have a lot of feminist theory, and I'm very much close to French feminists. So this is very close to Hélène Cixous, Lucy Irigaray, these French feminists. And what I'm proposing here to you, one of my interpretations comes from French feminists, specifically from Lucy Irigaray, the French feminist. What I'm trying to propose here, oh well, I will read it. I think it will take less time. If we turn to Lucy Irigaray's psychoanalysis interpretation of the process of birth and socialization of the female individual, we see that the turn of the separation between mother and daughter occurs symbolically when the father's last name is imposed on the newborn, an event that introduced her to the world of language and socialization. Any return, body to body, to the mother is a sign of regression of to the natural, the fetal, the irrational, as is interpreted as the collapse of a word lacking meaning and identificado with mental illness. So what I'm saying here is the mulatto woman that is a product of rape, is a product of lust, is a product of those erotic encounters that you've been seeing in these marquillas. When this mulatto woman is a social individual with this female trying to function in the society, do you think she has a last name, a white Spanish last name? Probably no. She would consider a bastard. No, probably. I don't think any of those men would marry the woman that they find in the corner. Not probably. That's what happened with Cecilia Valdez. Cecilia Valdez never received the Gamboa last name. Her father was a white Spaniard. His name was Gamboa. What Cecilia tried to do? Cecilia tried to marry Leonardo Gamboa. Why? Because she was trying to marry Leonardo Gamboa, she would go up in the scale, in the society. What is very ironic and is very tragic in Cecilia Valdez, as the Leonardo Gamboa was her brother, and it's even incest in this relation. That's what is very complicated in this novel. But my suggestion is that the woman that wanted the name of the father, that wanted to be included in the society on the law of the father, I'm talking here on Lucy Irigaray theme, has to renegade of the body of the mother. If you want to go in the law of the father, if you want to go into the society, what you're looking forward is for the name of the father, not for the body of the mother. Because the body of the mother, the black skin, all the mulattoness, all la mulateria, all this is regression. Also, this is the natural law. It's the law of chaos. It's not what society wants. Can you follow me in that? This is very important in my poem because this is a psychological analysis that I'm trying to read all this. So now I think we're gonna go to the other. Gonna go to the other frame. Later I could take question for part. Let's close now a little bit this first frame and let's go and try to talk about the second one. Okay, this is the image that you have in your flyer, Maria Lao. This is the carátula of one of the most important zarzuelas. So first of all, what is the zarzuela? Un baile? Okay, no, I think it's probably Antonio. Could you help me with zarzuela coming from Spain?
Operetta or a musical.
A musical. Okay, and the origin of the zarzuela is Spain. So we Cuban copied the zarzuela from Spain. And what happened when we Cuban and Spain? We were colony, you were a metropolis. So what happened in post-colonial terms when a colony copied the metropolis? Have you been doing post-colonial studies lately? What happened with the colony copying the metropolis? What do you think is happening when you copy what is imposed for the metropolis? What happened? You actually copied the model because you wanted to just be accepted, or you're trying to a little bit mocking the model that you're copying? Is that possible, that you're mocking the model that you copy? I think you can mocking something that you're copying, and at the same time, still you retain ambiguity. Are you imitating or because you respect, or you're imitating because you're trying just to deconstruct the model, to really, take the respect out of the model because you're making a joke about the imitation. So this is a mulata imitating, see? All this, la bata cubana, the way she dressed. This is taken from the Spaniard, the imitation on all this is taken from the Spaniard dress. It's a little bit of a mix between the Spaniard dress and the Cuban dress, but this is a mulata blanconaza. Again, it's a criolla. It's not so close to the mulata as you see before. Why? This is done in Spain. This carátula is done in Spain, so we need to have a mulata less, close to the criolla, close to the habanero type, not too much close to the mulata that we've seen before. But let me explain you something more, and we gonna do a little bit of, white skin, black mask. How la mulata de rumbo changed us to divas. Well, I'm making a dialogue with Fanon. So you, professor, are very familiar with Fanon. So Fanon say completely the opposite: black skin, white mask, and saying white skin, black mask. Because what happened in the zarzuela is there were white women that have to put some kind of, you see that, you remember the black face here in America and the minstrel? It's a little bit similar, very different indeed, but similar in look. They have to put some kind of, pintura, in their face to look black. That's why I say white skin, black mask, or how la mulata de rumbo changed us to diva. Well, my thesis here, what I'm proposing in this second frame of my research, is that we start to moving from a stereotype. You remember those women that you see in those places? We're moving from a stereotype to a place that through the body, through the performance in zarzuela, and through the voice that the zarzuela gives to the mulata, is a voice given for the musician, but it's still a voice. This mulata start opening to metaphor. You see, when you have a stereotype in terms of rhetorical device, literary device, what you have as a metonymia, you have a term that is impossible to change. The difference between metonymia and metaphor. In the metonymia, you cannot, the meaning is very, very, very reduced, but in the metaphor, the meaning is more polysemic. And what I'm saying here is the stereotypes start to changing in a metaphor, start to changing into a myth. This mulata is becoming a diva, it's becoming a myth, it's becoming something that you could read differently. You don't need to say, this is a prostitute. You can say different, you could have different interpretation. I'm very happy to read 2 days before coming to this research, that is a new book on Cuban zarzuela. I was thinking that I have that topic just for me, but no, it's another woman talking about this, and she's saying, no way, because the zarzuela is still the lover and is still the victim. You will see. I will show you something, and you will see if it's a little bit of of room for a different interpretation if this mulata is starting to move from the stereotype to myth. Yes?
Now you are in 20th century?
20th century.
Okay.
Now we go to 20th century. Specifically, we're going to 1920. 1920 to 1940. That's the frame of time that is Zarzuela well done. These 2 decades in 20th century. So, well, I don't know if I have time to read this, but this is, you could have it, Carolina could send it to you. This is the definition of Zarzuela. Zarzuela is very much open to improvisation. That's very important for me, improvisation. What you see before is not open to improvisation. Zarzuela is open to improvisation. And this is very important because improvisation gives the opportunity to precisely play with the model, play with the copy and all this. And also what I say before, in the Zarzuela, we are having a post-colonial dialogue with the metropolis. We have the opportunity to talk in between a genre that is not from us. It's something that was imposed for Spain, but from the Zarzuela, the mulatto woman is gaining a place. So let me see if we could play a little bit of the Zarzuela. You will hear at the ending of Maria La O. This is not a good copy because this copy was done in Miami, in a stage in Miami, given to me by a friend of mine, so the copy is not so good, but the voice of the mulatto that is changing here, and that is even not a mulata, it's a Blanca Varela. Listen, please, to the voice. She is being darker. She's not as darker as she seems. Sorry, probably want to see more, so you could you could find the recorder or buy the CD. Could you listen a little bit? What was the last one? Maria Lao sueña en morir. Dreams of dying. Dreams of dying. You see the romantic aspect of dream of dying. It's not that she's forced to be in the reclusion place. She's dream of dying. This is a romantic aspect here that is what I'm very interested in the presentation of the mulatto women, and also the performance. You see, the performance is powerful. The voice, all this is part of what I'm looking forward here. So let me see if we can finally go to, okay. No? Okay, this is this. Well, what my research is trying to do now is following the librettos of the zarzuela. The zarzuela, as you see, have a dialogue, have a part that is text. And I'm following the same original libretto of Maria Lao in different representations that have 5 different endings. This is very curious. 5 different endings. And what I'm trying to prove is those 5 different endings are for 5 types of different public. Not exactly that one is exactly with the other one. When what is a change is because it's a change of the reception, it's a change of the audience. For example, Maria Lao kills Niño Fernando in the original version. That was created in the 1930 in the 30s in Cuba. Maria Lao kills the lover. So this is very, very much a revolt. A woman killing the lover, a woman killing the wild lover that, seduced her and later abandoned her for another woman. This is big, big, big. Second ending, Maria Lao wants to kill Fernando, but José Inocente, that is a friend of Maria Lao, is a black man, negro del manglar, curro, negro malo, negro, really, from the street. José Inocente stopped Maria Lao because he don't want Maria Lao getting in trouble. And Fernando goes alive. Maria Lao wants to kill Niño Fernando. José Inocente stopped her, and José Inocente kills Maria Lao. This is more what is being happening in the representation in Miami. It's really very funny. You could see all the changes in Miami, in Cuba, in Spain. And this is very difficult for me to trace the libretto because I have to be in contact with the people that were part of the representation and getting the libretto from those people that were in those places in that moment to be sure that the libretto and examining is the libretto that was done in this presentation, because if not, I cannot prove what I'm trying to say. The 4th ending is Maria Lao asked José Inocente to kill Fernando. He did, I don't know, he did it, he killed him, and was something wrong in the translation. I don't know, to kill, stop him and kill himself. Oh, no. In the other ending, Maria Lao repents. You see? That had to happen to me. I don't know what is missing here. Maria Lao asked José Inocente to kill Fernando. He did it bad, and what? So let me think of it. Maria Lao asked José Inocente to kill Fernando, but stop him at the last minute because she's expecting from him a child, and do not want the father of her child to die. En la última versión, Maria Lao está embarazada. She's pregnant. But in the 4th version, let me see if I bring my original in Spanish, because it's something in the translation that is not, I do not bring my original. But I think in the four of this ending, Maria Lao, allowed him to actually kill, Fernando. That's what happened, because Maria Lao do not have, the pregnant state. But what is interesting for me, if you see, from the original version where Maria Lao have all the agency, all the power, she is killing herself. You see a decreasing of agency, a decreasing of power when she trusts José Inocente to kill Fernando instead of her doing the killing. But those moments where Fernando is not killed, when Fernando is not killed, were the representation done in Spain, because never this zarzuela have been in Spain with the version where Fernando get killed, because that would be too much for Spain. So when the zarzuela, then the zarzuela is going to Spain, Fernando stay alive. probably is because Jose Inocente stopped Maria Lao or because Maria Lao is pregnant, but Fernando cannot be killed. So that's the important thing here. And in this version, in the last version that is very interesting, in the one that Maria Lao is expecting a child that's been doing in Cuba and is also is being played in Miami, we have another version that is the Mexican film Maria Lao. So we still have number 6. And if we have time, I could play Maria Lao in a film, but I don't know how we feel about time. Yes, okay? You dealing with me? So we're going to see now Maria Lao in a film, and you will see now Maria Lao being pregnant, but something more interesting. And probably Marixa will tell us something about why those Mexican films, those very much passionate about fatherhood, give another twist to this fit ending. So we're going to play Maria Lao in a film. This is a version on 52, 1952. It's a co-production, Cuba and Mexico.
What is the O meaning?
Yeah, I'm sorry?
What does the O mean?
What is it?
The O.
The O, nothing, it's part of the name, Maria Lao. It's just Maria Lao. So this is going to last 10 minutes, this part. And that's what I'm asking you permission if you want to stay for 10 minutes more.
Maria Lao says her last name.
Maria Lao, yeah, she asked me that Lao means nothing. Maria Lao.
Well, I mean in general, because since Mulata has no last name, could be.
No, it's not the case. A good question, but the name for people have no name is Valdez. In Cuba, all those people that come from a species and that have a bastard father and the mother put her in the species, the last name is Valdez. So Maria Lao, what I feel, my impression is, and I wanted to do some research about that, it's a specific relation with that, is when you say in Cuba, Rosa la China, the article gives some kind of, what I would say, an attitude. Rosa la China, Rosa la Tremenda, Rosa la Brava, Rosa la, it's like an epíteto, the way that functions the epíteto in literature, Aquiles, el de los pies ligeros, it's an epíteto. But why Maria Lao? I don't know, it's a phonetic play that I really don't know. This is the Maria Lao is gone so far as 18076 in a guaracha. That's the first time Maria Lao, the name Maria Lao appeared in Cuban culture, in a guaracha. The guaracha, you see, is something from music, so I don't know if Maria Lao, coming from the guaracha Maria Lao, could be something related to just phonetical. But anyway, let's try to see this.
Fernando, Fernando, ya te morir, por favor, morir. No. Suélteme. Suéltala. Fernando. Fernando, amor mío. Quiero que vivas a mi hijo.
blancos se suicidan.
Okay, so what happened here, and I checked my original, and what happened in the fore ending was exactly what I told you, but it was a problem on translation. Jose Inocente kills Fernando. It's nothing different. But anyway, let's go back to the film. You see, the film is filmed in Cuba, in Cuban location. This is probably Jibacoa, La Playa de Jibacoa, this beautiful, beautiful ending. But was done from, money coming from Mexico. The director was Adolfo Bustamante. The co-libretista was Mac Out, that was from Spain and was in Mexico at that time. And the photographer was Javier Figueroa, very important photographer in Mexico film. What I'm trying to interpret here is why Fernando and Maria getting in reconciliation. Why? Because Fernando accepts fatherhood. And I even don't giving you the whole film because we don't have time, but it's in a scene before which Fernando was told that Maria was pregnant, and Fernando faced his father and say, you know what, I'm going to protect Maria Lao because she will be the mother of my child. Do you think this is a big deal? Because before in any old Zarzuela, Fernando wanted to deal with a bastard child. But in this version, Mexican version, Fernando accepted fatherhood. I think that comes from Mexican perspective of the relation between women and men and this, I would say, the santicidad del nacimiento, de la pareja, de concebir, por lo sagrado del acto mismo de concebir. That's what I'm thinking, but I have to prove this from other movies, not only that specific movie. But in Cuba was not like this, never. In any of the Zarzuela, never at the end, Fernando accepted fatherhood. This is incredible. No way to that. But in this version it is. But more important than that, I think that probably comes from that vision. But more important than that, what happened at the end? Maria Lao wants to commit suicide. And that's acceptable for a black? No. El negro curro say to Maria Lao, only the white commit suicide. You go with me. So who will be the father of the child or whatever, what is girl or boy? Who will be raising this bastard child? What do you think? Probably Jose Inocente. So this is big change on what is happening before in Maria Lao. So that's why I'm proposing that this is again a fuga from the stereotype, a fugue from the fate of Maria Lao, and it's because, again, we have the hybridization. It's not only because it's Cuban people seeing this, it's a hybridization. I think only hybridization allows stereotype to escape to this phase. But anyway, I'm going now to the last. Well, this is a poster of one of Mexican movies, and this is Rosa Carmina, Jose Pulido, El Charro de la Rabal. I just want to see, the picture of this charro, which is from Mexico, and you see a mulatto, rumbera, all this was mixed. In the 60s, this Cuba was very cosmopolitan, and Mexico and Cuba and have a lot of co-production. So this is the background of my analysis in those productions. So, but I'm trying to move ahead. Okay, well, this is La Patrona de Cuba. This is La Caridad del Cobre. And here I'm skipping, I'm going to the fourth frame and not doing the third. The third is La Jinetera. So I'm probably letting this one for questions. But in the fourth frame, what I'm proposing is this image of the Patrona de Cuba that is a synthesis of our identities, white, and it's a little bit mulata, and it's a little bit well protected because he has the child, the mother. This image that was found in La Bahía de Nipe in 1786. 18th century. In 18th century, these have been our patrona since that, since that year until now. And because she's a synthesis, and also she represents the maternal part of the mulata, not the straightening part, but the maternal part of the mulata. She could be seen as a symbol. And you see more of the face here. You see the face, a little bit more of the face. What the only trait that could be a little bit related to the mulatto is the move. The noise is not at all. I don't know if I'm allowing you to see la nariz. You could not see that this is a mulatto woman at all for la nariz, but la boca, you could claim some of the, this labio es parte de los atributos físicos de la mulata. But déjeme decirle esto en español. Yo no estoy mirando tanto la cara. Yo no trato de probar que esto o aquello es blanco o negro. I'm trying to prove the position. What is important for me is she is a mestiza because we want her mestiza. I don't want to be positivista here and say, fíjense aquí o aquí, but I want to convince you that this is a mestiza. It's not a white, it's not even a little bit of, or Chinese, or I don't know, but you could be a Cuban, you could identify with this face, because this is a mestiza as a woman, as a face, and this is what we see her as our patrona. But, okay, one more thing. You see, what is this place? Do you want to visit this place? You want to be there? I want to be there too. You know what is this? El Río Ochun in Nigeria. If you want to go back to the other part of the myth of La Caridad del Cobre, this is the African representation of the goddess Ochun. This is the Río Ochun. It's not a woman, it's not a face, it's not a body. It's just that. Ochun is part of the nature. Ochun is the goddess of the river. Is there. So Ochun in Nigeria, the Yoruba culture, that is the one that brings us Ochun to Cuba, see Ochun incarnated or see Ochun in the rivers, on the waters of the rivers. And with this image that is taken from El Río Ochun in Nigeria, I wanted to go further, and this is just a piece that I cannot restrain myself to bring you. This is a calendar. See, un calendario, and this is done in Miami. You see this? They are starving for Cubanes, and they want to have La Virgen del Cobre in whatever place they have, and they sell this calendar. I have it in my home for years. I even have one in the hotel, but I was thinking that not easy to pass out the calendar to you. But this is the way Cubans in Miami have Caridad del Cobre presente. It's very easy to have those you go to the carniceria, you go to the grocery store, and they give it to you for free. This is La Caridad del Cobre in Miami. And this one is La Caridad del Cobre in Santiago de Cuba. We're going to end with showing you something that was happening in Cuba in 2008, so meaning that's last year, in El Carnaval. In Cuba, you will see how now, this is happening last year, is venerada La Caridad del Cobre, and is part of the popular culture. And that's why in my conclusion, in my ending, I say that La Caridad del Cobre, meaning the maternal part of the mulatto woman, could be the salvation for, and this salvation seems to you a little bit of religious tone here, but I will say yes, salvation, because Cubans need to be redeemed from this craziness, from this craziness of not being talking, of not being able to communicate from the true side of Florida. So I think it probably salvation or dialogue is my proposition, and reading this Caridad del Cobre is a way to propose a new way to see Cuban nationalism. But now we're going to end with the conga in Santiago de Cuba. Creo que sí. Tiene un buen volumen. ¿No? Lo que quiero que vean es esto. La Virgen está en la calle, pero ahí hay una sincretismo. This is completely syncretic, because between the African representation, between the African, way to express their happiness, their dance, and the religious Catholic part of Cuban. This is all mixed. In Santiago de Cuba is one of the more mixed play in terms of religion, in terms of race too. Okay, so I just wanted to leave you with this image that is very much representative of even the race in Cuba. You could see all those people, they are mixed race. They are mulattoes, they are black, and also in Santiago de Cuba, to complicate more things, it's the only place where you can find some ancestor of the Taínos that come from Baracoa. It's the only place in Cuba where we have some ancestor of the indigenous population of Cuba. They are also a little bit of darker, a little bit darker than me, but not mulattoes. They are coming from the Taínos population, but this is a very mixed population. Well, so I think it's all. So now I'm open for your questions.
When you discuss at the beginning your different frameworks from observation, I was wondering, you make participate observation in that places to try to observe and get information about the conformation of the identity through the bodies and the people there. That's what you did?
Yes. And the first frame is a 19th century frame, so it's something that, I'm going back in time. So I cannot be participating myself because it's the 19th century. The square, what I am presenting is the square as it was in 19th century. You see, and so it's back in time. And the second frame is still back in time because it's the Zarzuela in the 20s and the 40s, and later I incorporated the film that is the other background, that is the film, the 60s. So but the Solar, the second frame that is the Solar, because this is happening in Maria Lao was living in a Solar. This frame is still alive in Cuba. You could find Solares in Cuba. I was living in Havana until 16 years ago, so I could say Solar is still alive. But I'm interested in the Solar as it was in this decade, because it was the moment that modernization pushed away the mulatto population and created the Solar. So I'm not making observation about the Solar as it's now. I'm interested in the Solar as it was at the beginning of the century. Later, my third frame is La Jinetera, is what is happening now. I, of course, could give you my insight about this because I was in Cuba until 16 years ago, and I was immersed in the society, and I could give you my own impression, and I did research about, the jineteras and the mulatto women and all this. So myself, I'm involved in that conformation on the third frame. And in the fourth frame, yes, of course, because I'm now on the other side. Okay. So more than ever, I could see what is the way that, people in diaspora or in exile, if you wanted to say, you could say diaspora, you could say exile, very political issue here. But when you are out of your country, I could understand now how do you feel those symbols. So I would say that in the last two frames, yes, I'm involved as a participant in the confirmation of those frames.
Yeah, actually, because my question came from the last image of the YouTube that recent studies and sociology and literature related to identity of bodies are observing, for example, it's so interesting to see transvestites or drag queens doing, and it's maybe more explicit and more interesting.
Yeah. I was talking here that, probably, well, we have another thing. Probably I am not sure, because this image that I show you, I took it from the internet myself. I did not film. I took it from the internet, from YouTube, and I think that the personification of the Ochun, Ochun Caridad, you cannot say Ochun. It's both. It's Ochun and Caridad at the same time. Probably it's a transvesti. Probably. And this is very interesting too. Very interesting. I'm very even seduced about the possibility that use of recent film transvestis that are doing, taking place now in Cuba. But it's very interesting that the transvesti, when they wanted to take the personification, the impersonation of a woman, they took the great divas of Cuban culture. They took Moraima Secada, they took La Lupe. Do you know who is La Lupe? La Lupe is gran cosa. They took La Lupe, they took Moraima Secada, they took, I don't know which more. Celia Cruz, exactly. So those big women, those women that were mulatas and at the same time voices on the Cuban culture because they sing, they were interpreted. Those are the personification of the queen. So a drag queen interpreting Caridad, probably. You see tolerance. it's a very, open society where a transvestite could be personificating a religious symbol. I don't know. I have to do more research to find out if that image specific was a transvestite or not. We have to impressio visually that could be a transvestite. Okay. Yeah.
Just a quick question. Maybe I couldn't follow you, but can you find a connection between this child that Carialao may eventually have in the future, probably an idea of a different Cuba? Because according to what I understand, this child will be a white child, right? Because he's born from a Carialao, which is wearing black makeup, right? And Fernando, which is a white guy, and also will be raised by, who's the name
Jose
of?
Inocente.
Jose Inocente, who is a black, who is going to be a white child, but raising with a black imaginary. So, can you find some connection on that? Or
well, what I just want to clarify something. Maria Lao in the Zarzuela, what you saw, well, let's fix this. When Maria Lao is having a child that actually is going to be raised with Jose Inocente, is in the movie. Okay, it's in the movie. And Maria Lao is a mulata. That doesn't change any of the variation that I show you. The identity of Maria Lao is the mulatto woman. What happened is in the Zarzuela, in Cuba, were played for white women, because actually the mulatto woman don't have socially, it's not in the scala para aprender música, bel canto. You cannot pay for a professor on being a soprano if you are a mulatto woman. You do not have the resources to be a soprano. So the white women interpret the mulatto woman. That's why they have to put color in their faces. So the boy or the girl is still born from a mulatto woman. That I want to clarify that. So still is not pure white. But of course will be whiter than Maria Lao, because is the son of Fernando, that is a white man. But the point here is that he will be raised by Jose Inocente, and Jose Inocente is a black man. So the black imaginary probably will triumph, will be imposed, will be part of this boy or girl. So if this boy or girl is raised in the manglar, he's going to be black in terms of his thinking or her thinking. So the future Cuba, well, I think my connection with the future Cuba is more about dialogue, about unification between the two sides, between the the exiles and the people that are in the island, but also in terms of race. Was of course. I do not think that the institution of of socialism or communism after the 75 have done sufficient, or that have done enough to finish with this racism that is embodied in cultural practice. It is very difficult to raise that. It's education, it's resources, it's a lot, to be able to erase this racism, and that's probably you see in your own country that, it's very difficult to erase racism. It's a mark that is very much embodied in the behavior, in the imaginary, as you say before. So I think that's also is part of the future Cuba, a Cuba without racism, with race, but no racism. It's different. We are proud to have different race, but we hope that one day racism is not part of Cuba. Razas no racismo. That's what could be an utopia for Cuba.
Yes. Thank you for your very interesting presentation. I really like the evolution of the image of mulata from the 19th century and then ending in the present. I just have a question about one period that I don't know if you're leaving out in your bigger project or just here, and then why. Since you have the 19th century, then the early part of the 20th century, then you jump to the 80s, to the 1980s. But then there is a period of the beginning of the revolution, the 60s and the 70s. Okay, because it's from it seems to jump from the zarzuela to the jinetera, and what's in between? I guess that was my question.
Okay,
yeah.
So where is Carolina? Oh, okay, I need Carolina because the image is there. Let me see if it's there. I will show you the photo from the 60s. Because of course, my project has to it's very important. Your question probably is because of that. You know, what happened with the mulatto woman in the 60s, that was a big moment for the revolution, the moment that everything is going to change, you know, hope. And so, of course, we're going to see a couple of images that at the beginning I have projected to show you, but I was thinking about, you know, timing this, and I say, well, if the question comes, I will put it back. But there, okay, there's a couple of images that I have in my projector that are related to the 60s. And my point in the 60s is, oh, I would probably need the image. What happened in the 60s that is everybody has to be uniform, uniforme. See or no? You understand what I'm saying? Uniforme. So everybody's equal. Fidel saying no race, no gender difference. No, I need all of you. I need you, as Tio San say in Texas time. I need you. So all of you come on board to do the new Cuba. So Fidel want uniformidad. And to make the uniformidad ideológica, social, and racial, Fidel actually gives uniforms. Uniform, you see what I'm saying now? I'm talking about the dress to the woman. So my image on this period, and I hope that Caro comes and show you, are women in uniform. Okay, Caro, por favor, ponme las dos imágenes del uniforme. Because you will see those body of the woman that are so sexualized in the previous period, now in the uniform, and you will see how this uniform gives at the same time dignity, but take off the sexuality of the body. And that's my question. The state is controlling the sexuality, giving her a uniform identity. That I think is very dangerous. I think uniformity could be dangerous. And that's a very political side here. But I think any project that comes from the state and try to uniform a society is dangerous. And that's what is happening. No, this is the, no, don't. This is the other, okay. All this is cabaret and mulattoes and Mexico. Okay, no, go back. Oh, it's still Fidel. That's why I take it out, because if I show you Fidel in the beginning, you will ask me questions about Fidel, and I don't want that. So, yes, see, this is so incredible. So this is people getting married. I don't see any mulatto women here. I don't show this because of the mulatto woman. I show this just to show you what the revolution tried to do. You are living with your partner, go and get married. And if you read what he's saying, that is so funny. But it's not only that you should get married, it's that you get a cake and you get some goodies, you know, because you're going to get married, and the state is very happy with that, and everybody is following the line to get married. So, and this images, I take it from giving me the idea of this uniformity, but it's not because all those women wanted to be, you know, it's not an uniform here, but it's uniformity instead of, you know, taking your willingness and say, well, you have to do that. But later on, so in this image that is very important, there's a second image. See, no, this. Okay, still. Okay, well, this is a student teacher of Makarenko Institute. Makarenko, see, you see the Russian name here. Makarenko was a pedagogo Russo. Makarenko Institute was an institution that the regime, you know, the Castro regime made it to form teachers. Those teachers have to go throughout the country and teach. And a lot of mulatto women, a lot of black women were part of this, a lot of paysan, a lot of countryside women were part of the Makarenko. Why? Because it's a solution for, you know, for living. It's a resort for living. The state is paying you for studying, but those women have to have a uniform. I wear a uniform all my years in high school because we have to have a uniform. This is very important, and the uniform has to be in here. You cannot use it in here. And so we use like this. We do. Oh, that was so funny. But this is the fighting with the uniform. That for me is a crazy thing that I have in my mind. I was fighting against the uniform. And my idea here is that the state, meaning the socialist state, became the voyeur. The same voyeur in terms of, you know, controlling image that was the Spaniard, that was this action that you see before. All this is the state now. It's the state who is controlling the libido, the function, the revolt on the mulatto woman. And in my project, when I finish that part that is not reading, I will use photos, only photos of the publicity of the revolution, of the opportunity for black and mulatto women given for the revolution through those type of institution. And I will use the photos that were used for that. And the idea is that, yes, you give, but you take. You give that, but you take another thing, because you have to sacrifice that for the state. And this is very related to realismo socialista and all what happened in the Soviet Union, if you are related to what happened in the Soviet Union, that everybody have to, go to serve the state. And this is related to that. Fortunately, this only lasts 60 and 70. In the 80s, Cuban cannot be enclosed on those uniforms. And, the society changed a lot. And in the 80s and 90s and now, it's different. It's different. I agree that it's still socialism and communism is even the official name, but it's something different going on after the 80s, after the post-Berlin era, no? And, okay, if you... Sí, la discusión. Sí, no, bueno, I think I answered your question. But, okay. Oh, okay, so it's good. So we're gonna eat and continue talking over there. Okay, great. Okay.